This is Swiftlet, a Taylor Swift podcast with a literary twist. Today's episode is all about your theories for Taylor's upcoming studio album, The Life of a Showgirl. As always, I am your host, Peyton Edwards. For Taylor's 12th album, I'm expecting the songs to be fun, bouncy, confident, light and self. Sexy, in love, and embracing every aspect of life, showing all facets of fame and self, the good and the bad, the highs and the lows. I made a playlist of songs that I think will be thematically in line with the album. I've linked it in the episode description in case you want to have a listen. Given that she's reteaming with producers Max Martin and Shellback, I believe that it will be a full-blown pop album. I think it might pull from 90s pop in terms of the sound, since Max Martin was a defining producer of that era, and during the New Heights episode, there was a book about ads from the 90s in the background, which feels like it could be a little hint toward the album's sound, and a bright orange 90 feels like a very Swiftian Easter egg, to me at least. For the tracks, I currently have a few theories. For the first track, The Fate of Ophelia, I'm expecting her to present her own take on Ophelia's story and give her more agency than how she is portrayed in Shakespeare's play. For the second track, Elizabeth Taylor, I could see her doing something similar to The Lucky One and The Last Great American Dynasty, where she tells the story of another woman and at some point intertwines it with her own. My theory for the track Wood stems from the appearance of a Pinocchio figurine during the podcast episode. Pinocchio's whole thing is that he's made out of wood and wants to be brought to life as a real human boy instead of just a puppet. He spends a bit of time having strings attached to him and then gushes about the freedom he feels when they are no longer there. And those elements of the story got me thinking about wood and the aspects of fame and performing. So perhaps the track will be about being seen as a real human instead of simply an entertainer or puppet, finding herself brought to life by something or someone else and freeing herself of the strings that once held her back. Whatever way it goes, I think it will focus on performance in some aspect. I did recently dream that Cancelled was about how people constantly feel the need to come up with some reason to discard female artists, and that the lyrics were dialogue-based and Taylor was repeating the charges against her and shouting, "Cancelled," after each one. I'm curious to see if any of these come close to appearing on the album in any way, or if this is just weird nonsensical clowning stuff from me. I don't know if it's bound to happen, but I could really see this album lending itself to being a visual album purely based on the various alternate covers Swift has already released so far. If it's not a visual album, I can definitely see her releasing a video for the title track that features both her and Sabrina Carpenter in it. I could also see Opalite possibly being a single. Additionally, the interpolation of George Michael's 1987 song Father Figure lends itself to making her, Father Figure, a potential choice for a single and video. With the various alternate vinyl covers that were released, Shiny Bug, Violet Shimmer, Wintergreen and Onyx, Lovely Bouquet, Lakeside Beach, Tiny Bubbles and Champagne, Under Bright Lights, and Red Lipstick and Lace, I wonder how many of them will end up being lyrics on the album. There's also a chance that they might appear in one of the poems featured in the alternate editions. During the podcast episode, Taylor kept mentioning the number 47, which made my ears perk up a little bit. Given that the vinyl is only one disc, I believe that 47 might hint at the runtime of the album, which would make it her shortest album since the standard edition of 1989, which came in at 49 minutes. I have also seen the theory that it's a possible reference to Hamlet, since Ophelia's death is announced in Act 4, Scene 7 of the play, which could be a hint to the opening track. I'll be curious to see if it ends up meaning anything come October 3rd. While I do believe Taylor, and that this isn't a double album like the Tortured Poets Department, I do think that there might be a hidden bonus track on the CDs. Hidden tracks were commonly done in the 90s, where there would be a bonus non-advertised track on the CD that fans discovered upon their listen of the album. I think that this might be a possibility because of the product images for the limited release deluxe CDs that were available on her site the night of the podcast episode's release. On the little envelopes underneath the album's title is the number 13, and the next part of the phrase is obscured by the CD. In the product description, there's nothing that mentions 13. The closest thing to it is the 12 tracks. If it were about the pictures in the edition, I feel like the copy would have read, quote, "includes 13 never-before-seen photos and song lyrics," end quote. If this were a mistake like the infamous Woodvale snafu with Folklore, I feel like someone would have caught it before the images were taken since each of the variants has it on the envelope. To me, it feels too intentional to be a mistake, so I do think there might be a hidden track on the CDs. I have seen on social media other fans point out that on the back of the vinyl there's an orange square that's underneath the 12th track, and it could fit a possible song title on it. So we'll see if there's a hidden 13th track when physical products are listened to for the first time. Overall, I anticipate this album to be bright and loud, exploring the offstage aspects of fame from the rush of coming directly from a show to the quiet moments before taking the stage and everything that happens in between. Now, let's get into your theories. Anonymous wrote, quote, "Fate of Ophelia and Opalite could be about Travis. Cancelled could be the Shake It Off-like song on there. Wood could be a ballad. Actually Romantic and Ruin the Friendship are not like they appear. I hope the album has a lot of struggles of women and famous women performers' themes, and the showgirl thing isn't just a framing device." End quote. I agree with you, Annan, that a track or two might subvert expectations much like Slut did with the 1989 Vault. Taylor's known for doing this, so it wouldn't surprise me if this was up her sleeve for this album. I also think that Opalite might be about Travis. I'm inclined to think so since he's been saying it's his favorite track on the podcast. I do think that the album will explore the struggles of fame, and I think Who's Afraid of Little Old Me and Clara Bow were teasers for this album in terms of possible themes, and I'm curious to see how she expands from those two songs on this album. I do think that the showgirl aspect won't just be an aesthetic thing. I think it will be used to draw a contrast between life off stage and on, and how they bleed into each other at times. Thank you for sending in your theories. I enjoyed reading them over, and the episode wouldn't be complete without them. We still have a little bit left to go until the album's release, so I'm curious to see what Taylor will tease in the coming weeks and what she has in store for release week and the weeks after. Personally, I'm hoping for interviews with Stephen Colbert and Zane Lowe, in addition to a magazine profile, but who knows what she might end up doing in terms of promotion. Thank you for listening to this episode of Swiftlet. This episode was written and edited by me, Peyton Edwards. I hope you enjoyed listening, and if you did, please rate, review, and share this podcast. You know, all of that good stuff. You can connect with me on Instagram and the site formerly known as Twitter at Swiftlet Podcast. I'll see you in a few weeks for the Dear Readers episode focused on Taylor Swift by the Book by Rachel Federer and Tiffany Tatro.